If you are a man who works hard, handles responsibility, and is used to being dependable, vulnerability probably doesn't feel natural to you. For many men like you, being open about fear, stress, sadness, or uncertainty doesn't feel helpful. It feels risky. It can feel like it might cost you respect or control or stability. And so today I want to explain why vulnerability feels dangerous to high achieving men in real life, not in theory, in a way that actually connects to how you live, work, and relate. Now, if you are a high achieving man, your life likely trains you to focus on getting things done, solving problems, producing results, staying responsible, carrying pressure without complaining. From a young age, many men learn that people respond to what you do, not what you feel, right? You get praised for working hard. You get respected for handling stress. You get approval for pushing through difficulty. And over time, this teaches you a simple rule. My job is to perform and handle things, right? Not to talk about how I feel. And so when someone later asks you to be vulnerable, it feels unfamiliar and unnecessarily because your entire life rewarded you for functioning and not for expressing how you feel. Now, most high achieving men grew up being valued for being dependable, being strong, being the one who doesn't fall apart easily, right? Being the problem solver. But when you were tired, unsure, afraid, or overwhelmed, you were expected to push through it, right? Man up, right? Handle it on your own or keep it moving. So without anyone directly saying it, many men learned I am appreciated when I'm strong and capable, not when I'm struggling. Now think about what vulnerability requires. It requires showing the part of you that doesn't have it all together, right? That can feel dangerous because it raises a real fear. If I show that I'm struggling, would I lose respect? Will I be seen as weak? Will people still rely on me the same way? Now, high achieving men usually have full schedules, right? Work, bills, goals, family responsibility, pressure to perform, right? And so staying busy keeps your attention outward. As long as you're focused on tasks and responsibilities, you don't have time to sit with what you feel inside. And so vulnerability requires you to sit down, right? And actually notice what's really going on inside of you. And when you do that, right, a lot can come up that you haven't really dealt with yet. Loneliness, unprocessed stress, disappointment, fear about the future, emotional exhaustion, right? So vulnerability feels dangerous because it brings you face to face with things you've been avoiding just to keep functioning, if that makes sense. Now, high achieving men are used to situations where if you work hard enough, you get a result. If you prepare enough, you reduce risk. If you stay sharp, you stay ahead. We all been there, right? But vulnerability doesn't work the same way. Because when you open up to someone, you can't control how they respond, how they interpret what you said, whether they understand you, right? Or whether they handle what you say maturely, right? That lack of control is uncomfortable for men who are used to managing outcomes, right? It can feel like putting yourself in a position where you might get hurt and have no way to stop it. Now, for many men, opening up early in life didn't lead to understanding, right? It led to being mocked, being dismissed, being told to toughen up, right? Or having your feelings used against you later. Now, those experiences teaches you something very, you could say, more practical. right? Sharing how I feel doesn't make things better, right? It makes things worse. And so even as an adult, when a situation is different, right, your mind and body still remembers, you know what, last time I opened up, it didn't go well for me, right? So the danger you feel now isn't imaginary. It comes from a real experience that taught you to protect yourself, which makes sense. So what happens when you avoid vulnerability long term, right? Here's the practical reality. Now, you can definitely be successful without being vulnerable. You can build a lot of money, you can build status, you can build a reputation. But without vulnerability, many men start to notice, right? Their relationships feel distant. They don't feel deeply understood. They feel alone, even when they're around a lot of people, right? They feel pressure to always be the strong man, right? And they don't have anywhere to put their fear, their stress, or sadness. And over time, this can lead to burnout, emotional numbness, resentment, or a quiet sense that something is missing, even though life looks very successful on the outside, right? So what vulnerability actually looks like, right, in everyday life. Now, if you want to do actual session, you can hit the link in the description box and book a discovery call. And maybe if that works for you, we can do a session. But other than that, for starters, what vulnerability actually looks like in everyday life. And let's be very clear and more practical, right? Vulnerability doesn't mean just dumping your emotions on everyone, right? It looks like maybe being honest when you're under pressure, right? Instead of pretending you're fine. Maybe saying you don't have everything figured out, right? Maybe admitting you're scared about something that matters to you. Maybe asking for help instead of trying to carry everything alone. Maybe letting someone see you when you're unsure, right? Not just when you're confident. Maybe, see, it's not about becoming soft. It's about becoming real, right? Instead of being guarded. It's about feeling your sadness, feeling the hurt, feeling your depression, feeling your despair, right? It's about feeling your powerlessness, right? It's about, which I think you should get, an emotional wheel. It's very useful to helping you to sit with your emotions and feel your emotions within the context of whatever is triggering you, right? And so the real reason vulnerability feels dangerous, right? Vulnerability feels dangerous to high achieving men because you learned that your worth is tied to what you produce. You learned to handle problems, not sit with feelings. You learned that being open can backfire. You learned that people rely on you to stay strong, right? So the fear makes sense. You didn't become guarded because something is wrong with you, right? You became guarded because being guarded helped you to survive, right? And succeed. And so the problem is the same guard that helped you succeed can slowly block closeness, peace, and emotional connection with yourself and possibly the people who you're going to attract in your life romantically and many other kinds of relationships. And so in closing, if vulnerability feels uncomfortable or risky to you, that doesn't mean you're broken as a man. It means you've adapted to a world that rewarded your strength, control, and your performance. But success alone does not give you the emotional rest, and strength without a place to be real can become very heavy over time, right? And so learning to be vulnerable is not about losing your edge, right? It's about creating a place in your life where you don't always have to be, you can say, the strong one. And so I pray for you, bro. And I want to say thank you guys for watching this video. Peace.